Welcome to this episode of Consider It Blacklit. I'm Kim, your host, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, Consider It Blacklit highlights films, television programs, and stage plays that feature African Americans both up front and behind the scenes. We also discuss social issues as it relates to some of these programs and how they may or may not impact our communities. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in each week. Today it is my pleasure to highlight a multi-award winning filmmaker, Jamal Hodge. Since 2016, his films have been featured in 70 film festivals, and he has won 21 awards. 2 of his films were screened in the prestigious Cannes Film Festival. He has also directed the first season of Primal Instinct on Discovery Channel. It is my pleasure to have Jamal Hodge. Welcome, Jamal.
Hey, it's great to be here, Kim.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. I know I keep saying that, but before we start talking about your projects, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you decided to get into filmmaking?
Oh, I'll give you the brief sordid tale. But yeah, I was born in the South Bronx during the crack era, you know what I mean? So eventually some hardships hit my family. We ended up being homeless actually for a while, and ended up in foster care for a while. Seems sort of like the drudgery of life, but through all of that, writing and art kept me level-headed, kept me sane. Eventually, my mother got us all back together. We ended up living in Far Rockaway, Queens, and I ended up in this program called Pro TV at DCTV.
Okay, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, and over there, you know, I mean, working under John Albert, Craig Renaud, you know, I learned a lot about filmmaking. I learned that, wow, I could take my ideas and I could share it with millions of people, thousands of people. So, you know, and then also doing documentary took me out of my environment. So I went to places like Siberia. I went to places like Chiapas, you know, south of Mexico, lived with the Zapatistas there, did documentaries with them. I got to travel to the first Hague Appeal for Peace. All this traveling, all this working, all this creativity, it really set me on this path. And I feel like, I wouldn't say, oh, film saved my life, because I was a storyteller before I ever discovered film. But I will say that it gave me a tool that made me feel validated and worthy.
Sounds like, just from the short time I've known you, that you have a lot of determination in you. And I think you would have pulled yourself out of the situation regardless. But it seems like filmmaking may have given you a specific purpose, something to drive towards.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about filmmaking is that I feel like as storytellers, we create the context for life. Like, we name things, we identify things, we create a context for feelings, for emotions, you know what I mean, for different things. So it's such a powerful tool because we kind of like create the context for life, if you really think about it. You know what I mean? Why is the sun called the sun? It's because somebody came up with a name and a story for it.
So I was reading somewhere that you do a lot of community outreach. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the work that you do?
Okay, I mean, so like, you know, I left filmmaking for a while, you know what I mean? It's weird because my first documentary that I did, like African American in Russia, got into Sundance. And that was the first festival I went to, but I didn't know what it was at the time.
You mean your first film, you got into Sundance?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, I didn't really understand it. It was really, really white out there. So white out there. It was like Mormons and white snow everywhere. And I was from the hood. I was like, yo, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? I didn't really understand it. But it was great. It was a great experience. You know, it took me out of my comfort zone and made it okay to connect with people that weren't like me and to see art from, you know, all around the world. And it was really powerful experience. But a lot of the community outreach that I did, I worked with in East New York with some film programs. I basically left doing my own films to use film as a tool to have kids who had been like kicked out of either school or you know, was trying to get their GED or just came home from jail. We would have them do documentaries and have them look at themselves. It was a mirroring tool that I realized it helped me, so I wanted to recreate that in the community for other kids. And it really helped a lot of kids. A lot of those kids got their master's degrees. A lot of those kids really thanked me for the thing. It's like I still think it's the greatest achievement of my life. It was the work that I did with those programs, with those kids. Also, as early as 5 years ago, I was working with Aisha Norris at Dream, and they're up in Gun Hill Road, and I worked with the population over there for a while, and then became a licensed mediator. We did some work on Rikers. We did work all around different schools and stuff like that. So that was another passion of mine, was just like bringing peace to the community, new perspectives, new stories.
That's very impressive, because it's important for our young people to see people like you that came from the same background and who have determination like you that can do something else. You give them other options.
Yeah, because the main thing I always tell young people is that you always, the mind is always going to harmonize with its environment. Nobody's stronger than their environment. So the only way that you can really use what you're being taught is that you have to change your environment. You know what I mean? So a lot of times the stuff that you're being learned might not apply to where you're from, but there's places in the world where it does. And you eventually will have to go to those places and pioneer a movement.
Right, that's a very important message.
Yeah. That's
so you've been in a lot of film festivals. Why don't you tell us a little bit? I know you mentioned Sundance. Tell us a little bit about some of the other festivals and what was that experience like?
Well, there's some like festivals that just get it right. Like there's a few that are like pretty amazing. I mean, I work mainly in the horror space, which is weird, and then the inspirational or Black urban space. So that's like the two fields I kind of more play around in. But I feel like Martha's Vineyard was amazing. The Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival.
And I must say, I love that festival because I know Floyd and Stephanie Rance.
Oh yeah, I love them.
Yes,
Floyd's
they are
dope,
like, I've had them on the show also. So so shout out to Floyd and Stephanie.
Yeah, we got back in there this year again too. I went there in 2016. It was one of the first festivals I got into with The Jump, which you could watch on Amazon Prime. It was great. That was a great experience. I love Urban World. So Urban World and Martha's Vineyard are probably like my two favorite African American film festivals, although there's a lot of really good ones, you know what I mean, too.
Because I feel like each one of them.
And also Black Star. Black Star, Black Star is really black, though. You think I'm black. Black Star is black. Like, you know what I mean? You got, like, that's where, like, the real black Hotep brothers and sisters at. You know what I mean? If you want to get the real black taste, black festival, that's the festival. You know what I mean? Okay. At Martha's Vineyard, it's a little bit more, upscale blacks, more bougie blacks. And Urban World is more like urban in general. You know what I mean? So you got like urban people from like all types of races up in there. You know what I mean? But it's more like New York.
Like a diverse urban.
Yeah, diverse urban. With black at the center. You know what I mean? So that's like the different flavors on that. In horror, Street Fest is phenomenal. I love Street Fest, the staff there and stuff. Gotta shout out New York City Horror Film Festival. They like, in my heart, they're my favorite, you know what I mean? In my heart, though. And also Nightmares Film Festival is really good as well, you know what I mean? Those are like really good horror festivals that I would recommend. And of course, the best festival that's, it's just nothing to compare to. Sundance is great too, Tribeca is good too. They're what you expect them to be, you know what I mean? And they're amazing, but nothing is like Cannes. Cannes is its own thing. It's the best in the world. It's like on the film heaven. Everything is so pretty out there. People
and
look
they're
like
serious.
aliens.
I found that they're serious about the industry.
Yes.
Like some of the other film festivals.
The biggest market
like,
is there.
Yeah. The other film festivals is like, but we have spectators too. They're like,
nah.
Okay, you got to be serious about the business to
You can't
even get in. You can't even come in.
You can't even get in. You can't even get in. Yeah, they always give them like So my actors a hard
I
time.
know. My my actors had to go and pull themselves up on IMDb. Like, for real, I'm in the movie.
Yeah, like, we don't care. It's
Yeah.
like, well, the credits you got.
Exactly.
So it's a crazy place, but you know, I think like 70% of all the world's film business happens in that 2 weeks.
That 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, all in that marketplace. So if you are really serious about selling and setting up meetings and meeting, that's the spot.
That's the spot to do it.
Yep.
Exactly. How have these film festivals helped your career?
Dramatically. I mean, in terms of like, I would say, you know, it's like a hand. Film festivals are one finger on the hand. You know what I'm saying? And that finger is more, a lot of times, validation. When you're a young artist, a young filmmaker, you need to be validated in your efforts because it feels so hopeless sometimes. You feel like you're out in the wilderness, and you know, all your friends are getting married, having kids, having jobs, buying stuff, and you just out here trying to make something of yourself. So you always feel like, damn, did I make the right choice? So that validation is very important. But the other side of it is also like at the majors and stuff like that, if you come there with the right mindset, willing to sell, or you got something to sell, and you understand the business and you package your stuff properly, then there's a lot of opportunity in there. I would say a lot of times to get to know the festival runners or founders, because they have access to everybody else. Film festivals and even film success is mostly about momentum. It's more about momentum than it is about talent in a way. So as people keep on watching your career, it becomes easier and easier for you to get into like Sundance, Tribeca, Martha's Vineyard, you know, Urban World, all the big ones, because they're watching your career. They're watching you. So, you know, you kind of want to really build that momentum.
Right.
So that's why it helps me. I mean, it's helped me get jobs. That's how I got the ID Discovery job.
Discovery? Oh, okay.
You know, a woman who I was trying to get her to rep me, help me like for a while. She was saying, oh, but I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready. As she saw my film, The Kind Ones, playing at the Big Apple Film Festival, and she was just like, when you want to work on something, give me a call.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's a good, you know what I'm saying? If you pull things together, it's a good way for people to experience your work and your potential.
Yeah, so those festivals really gave you exposure and gave you the connections.
And the mindset. I mean, going to Cannes changed my life in terms of my knowledge of the industry, taking you know, when you go there the first time, it's overwhelming, but I tell everybody, go do the producer's workshop if you're a director or any sort of creative, because you got producers from all over the world sharing their secrets, and they're always looking for stuff. So if you got something packaged, everybody's there. Plus you'll learn about the business of filmmaking from the biggest market in the world.
So let's start talking about some of your projects.
Yes.
What's some recent projects you have out there that you'd like to share with our audience?
One project that we have right now is A Happy Divorce.
Okay.
And it's a film, it's written by Chase Muratora, who's a great budding producer. You know, my business partner, we work together very closely. And it's based around a true story. And it's about a woman named Jenny, a Desi woman, Indian woman, who falls in love with a guy named Warren, who's played by Rory Clark. Jenny's played by Sita Sarkar. And basically what happens is that you follow her ascent, his descent, and how the strain that could sometimes put on relationships, and how like love by itself, and this is just a theory, but love by itself is the father of fear.
Okay.
So whatever you love, you fear to lose it, right? So the film shows that love is not enough. Love on its own is not enough. It can really make you destroy the thing you actually care about or love the most. Okay. So you have to combine love with faith, with gratitude, with compassion. You know, to safeguard it, you have to combine it with things, with hope. Then you can have a lasting, healthy love. If not, most of the times you can destroy the thing you love. And so the film also covers about suicide and how this epidemic of suicide and stuff like that.
Wow. Now, is that a feature or a series or?
It's technically it's a pilot for a series, but we released it as a short film.
Okay.
We have some cool people looking at it right now, and it's going to be playing in the Martha's Vineyard African American
I'll be there,
Festival,
so I'll see it.
August 5th through 10th.
It sounds like something that will tug at your emotions, and
Yeah.
you'll feel something
Yeah,
even way after the movie
It's
is
designed
over.
for that. It's an inspirational movie, but it's sad. Kind of like how it feels a little bit like The Handmaid's Tale if you watch that show. Where it's beautiful, but it's just messed up. It's just like, damn. Like, damn, man. I'm not coming back next week, but you always do. But, and then you have, there's a horror movie that's based off of a poem from the great Linda Addison.
Okay, that's the morning meal.
Morning Meal, yes, ma'am. And that's one that we shot and edited 70% of it, and now we're like gearing up to shoot the next, the rest, and get it ready. The screenplay did really well. It went to all the major horror festivals. It actually won at the New York City Horror Film Festival too, which is
that's
huge.
amazing.
You know, I mean, that's like.
So
the
is this a short or a feature?
This one is technically it's the first act of a feature, but we're shooting the short first, and then we want to try to bring it to like a studio like Blumhouse. You know what I mean, or something like that, where
I like
we
that
can,
plug.
you know, we're trying to bring it to them, see if it's something they'll like. I think they'll like it a lot. It's a horror movie, but it's an inspirational horror movie. I know it sounds bizarre, but like it's basically you see somebody really falling, doing something unthinkable. You understand why, and you see through the love of a child, you see that person almost get rehabilitated. But then there's a ticking clock with the sins of the past.
Wow.
So like she's hurt, she's recreated that herself in that person, and eventually you have the conflict at the end.
So this is based on a poem by Linda Addison,
Yes.
right? And for those of you who are not familiar with her, she is the first African American who won the Bram Stoker Award.
She won like 4 of them. Now.
Like 4 of them, and that is they award people in their literary skills in
like the
fantasy.
Oscars. It's like the Oscars for horror writers.
So how did you guys hook up? How did you end up working with her to do this film?
Well, I met her at this. I was in this writing group, sci-fi writing, because I'm writing like I got all these novels I wrote that I've yet to put out. But like, I told her I was really good and stuff like that, and I harassed her until she gave up and gave in to my demands. You know, I really appreciate her work. I mean, she was really close. She was friends with my favorite author, Octavia Butler.
Oh my goodness, she is my favorite.
She's my favorite author. We connected about that. I saw what she did. She worked on Dark Matter. Remember that anthology?
Yeah, I remember Dark Matter.
Yeah, Dark Matter. She was in that. I just always was a fan. So to meet her and to get on board, we connected. She said that I was one of the best writers she's ever like read.
Wow.
So you know, we started collaborating, and I'm gonna get the book out, Linda. I promise.
So you said you had 3 that you were going to talk about. What's the third one?
And the third one is that there's an animated movie called Pierre the Pigeon Hawk.
Oh, okay.
And it stars Whoopi Goldberg, and it also stars Nick Cannon and stuff. It's written by Kieran Crampton, and you know, Chase is an executive producer, my business partner on it, and I'm a producer on it, and I'm working on that project with them.
Tell me, how would you describe your style of directing?
Well, my style of directing is, I like to think I'm like some weird Hitchcock and Fincher hybrid, but then with a touch of urban, so maybe a touch of spite in there. I'm always trying to have some sort of social message in my thing, or some sort of philosophy, meaning. I always want to have meaning in my piece beyond just entertainment or spectacle. But mainly my style is that I like to use darkness to show light. I like the dichotomy of things, because I like to show how we think that everything works in polarity, but really it's just one whole thing, and everything is interconnected. So I like to show how the darkness and the light interconnects, like how like evil can come from good places, and good can come from evil places.
Has any of the work that you've done mirrored anything that's happened to you in real life?
Every project does,
Every part of
on
it?
some level. I mean, it has to resonate with something in you,
Mm-hmm.
either something that you heard that was done that made you feel something, or something that happened to you that made you feel something.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like we have a film on Amazon Prime called The Jump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's written and starring Eric Lockley.
Okay.
And that film, you know, it was about his personal life, but it resonated with me as a director because the experience that he went through, it was kind of, you know how like the things that are the most personal
Mm-hmm.
are the most universal?
Mm-hmm.
So your most secret hidden pain or fear or things like that, if you just put it out there, it'll be the thing that connects with the most people because everybody's experienced it, but we
Everybody
all
has
hide it away.
experienced it, yeah.
So, you know, that racism that he experienced and that stuff like that, I've felt that as well.
So who are your inspirations? Like, what filmmakers do you look at and say, yeah, I want to be like them or similar to them, or they do things that inspire you?
I'm a weird guy because it's hard for me to really say that filmmaker is terrible or say that filmmaker is great. I just like the effort and the craft of the art form of film. But there's been a lot of, throughout the years, I mean, Fincher is one of my favorites that I really see as kind of like a master of the craft. But there's so many. I mean, Spike, I love what he's done for our people. You can't ignore what he's done. I mean, he's had some, you know, some of them aren't all that great, but like that's the way it is. Or you never know what you're gonna get.
Right, and he always says you have to look at a person's body of work, not just
that's
their one failure, this
yeah.
one,
Because you never, I mean,
everybody doesn't hit 100%.
no, there's no 100% in this game, right? I really like Antoine Fuqua. I like Steve McQueen. I like, he's coming out with his new movie right now, Tarantino a lot.
Oh, okay.
I like Tarantino a lot. I like so many people I like. I actually really like Spielberg. A lot of people give him crap, but I really like Spielberg a lot. It's not cool to say that, but I really like Spielberg and what he used to do in his prime. I liked his sentimentality in his films and how he made you feel something in his movies. And of course Stanley Kubrick, you know, the mad genius. I liked. He used a lot of darkness to show light as well.
So it seems like you like different pieces of filmmakers, and each good filmmaker has something that can really inspire you, or something you can look and take away from.
Everybody's good and bad, and every director has certain things that they are master of and certain things that they're just okay with. And it's good. I mean, it's good to have a diversity of lenses. But I like people who really focus on a lot of dark themes, though. Like Sounds of the Lambs is my favorite comedy.
Comedy?
Yeah, it's my favorite
Well, I remember when I first saw that movie, it scared me. It scared me to death. Okay, I don't know about you, Jamal.
You know, the end of 7. What's in the box? What's in the box? Oh.
Oh my goodness. So what would you tell young people who are interested in maybe following your footsteps and they want to become a filmmaker? Don't
do it.
Really?
And if they listen to me, then I saved them 20 years of their life. But a person that would say, like, you know, the hell with that old bastard. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Then that person might have a chance in this business. So that's the first thing I start with. I try, you know. And then the person who wants to do it, what I would tell them, you know what I mean, is get used to no, and always see no as it's a first roadblock to a yes, because no's are not permanent. Understand that you're worthy of the things you want, but really understand that. It's not only about intelligence, it's not only about knowledge, not only about connections. If you don't feel worthy of having great things or being great, you will not be great. And you can't demonize success.
Right.
So if you're always talking about the people who are already successful in a negative way, if you're talking about wealth in a negative way, you can't have those things because you'll sabotage yourself in your subconscious. So how you talk to yourself is going to be very important as an artist. But the most important lesson I could tell them is this road is a road of you're always going to be dealing with pain and uncertainty. as an artist because you're in a perpetual state of birth. You're always pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Like basically, if you kind of want to use a metaphor for that. So, and to breathe new life, to put something new into the world, there's always pain involved in that. And there's always uncertainty because you don't know exactly what it's going to be like.
Right.
You know, you're like, oh, hope my kid's not an idiot. You know, you just hope he's not, you know, going to grow up and be the next serial killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's uncertainty. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
You know, you could do everything right and you can still just turn out like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, and also to think of themselves as, I always like to use this metaphor, as you think that you're making art, but you're actually the art. Understand that you're the art because you're like an apple tree. And if you're the tree, the apples are your projects.
Right.
And people come and they pick them and they do other things with them. They turn them into pies and they do stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes they taste sour, they throw them out. Sometimes they're sweet. But you got to keep on making apples because as soon as you stop making apples, they're going to chop you down and turn you into firewood or a chair or a desk or a table or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to always be making apples and you just got to understand it's just one apple.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Just being a more of a household name as a director, you know what I mean? I'll probably have like a couple of shows under my belt, a couple of books. I mean, I have a plan where I'm going to be doing a feature film every 2 years, and then the year after that releasing a novel, and the year after that releasing another, the year after that release a novel, and each year doing like working on a show. So with that model, I'll probably have like about 4 features done in the next 10 years.
And I definitely see that.
4 novels.
Yeah. We're running out of time, but I want to let the audience know if they want to follow you on social media or find out more about your projects, where could they go?
Oh, they want to follow me. You can go to Instagram. It's Director H, no space. You'll see me with this hat. If Facebook is just my name. It's Jamal Hodge. Yeah, I mean I would say that.
That's our time for today, everyone. And trust me, Jamal Hodge will be a household name. Make sure you check him out on social media. And until next week, consider yourself blacklit. Thank you.